where the drama starts. Lap 30, 8 laps to go. Sandobi hoping to take advantage of these lapped cars. Pilecki goes, dives onto the right side. Very aggressive here. This is lap 4. The two Viceroys. Bill Frazier ahead of Matt Pilecki. Frazier's off. Frazier hit the grass. You hit that tire wall, your day is done. You know, it's lap 20. The Williams still trying to get around the Terrell team as he'll go around the lap car and around those at the same time. At the same time, he's got the inside corner. Will he ride the curb? Yes, he will. He will get him on the inside. Vita Maria leading us all into Moss's corner. Look at the beauty as his right side will cook the grass a little. A 180, no, a 360. Oh. Who will yield going into this corner? It's really not meant for too wide as it will be Gernald. Gernald will yield. Lots of smoke picking up from that Williams car. He is pushing it to the absolute limit. 26 of 30 now. Only 4 laps to go. He's going to get the run coming out the final corner. He's going to pull up side by side with the leader. It's going to be a drag race to the finish. Who is going to get there first? It's going to be...
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to round number 7 of the Classic Lotus Grand Prix Series here from the Sebring International Raceway at Florida. A fine track for these cars. Indeed, the weather is excellent. 26 degrees, clear skies, 41 degrees track temperature, pretty close to what the drivers are used to in testing, and the humidity only 41%, and that is very unusual for Florida indeed. So alligators will be feeling pretty much not at home. We are running on board with Xavier Sanchez, Heikki 360E, as a very famous streamer indeed, and he will be joining us, gracing us with his presence once again here. So let's see how he does here on his first qualifying lap. Qualifying session well underway. I am Joonas Puhakka. This is a Trailer TV broadcast as per usual, and alongside with me on the broadcast booth is Tapani Linnaluoto. Tapani, how are you doing?
Fine, thanks. I'm pumped with Jean Sibelius, so I'm good to go.
Hey, so you're feeling a little bit of in a classical mood at the Classic Lotus Grand Prix, and that is just fine. Behind the cameras we have the man from Las Vegas, the rock star of the sim racing, Aleksi Elomaa, also behind the cameras. He will not be talking much in the broadcast, but he will be doing just a fine job behind controlling all those things and everything that you need to do in order for you to actually see this broadcast. Xavier well on his way here in the first lap, and Tapani, talk us through a lap here at Sebring.
Well, it's basically a very diverse set of corners separated with medium length straights. So Xavier is just heading to the Le Mans S's. It's very flat, 3 corners. It's hard to hit the last apex well, so you can get a best speed on the back straight here. And last corner is a very tricky one. It's very wide, bumpy, especially on the very inside edge. So we'll see a lot of different driving lines here. The Lotus 79 maybe is a more straightforward, pointed at the apex and brake, and go back on the throttle pedal again than some other cars. So first corner is also very fast and bumpy. Just drop a gear, try not to go too wide, and have to lose it. And turn 3, 4, and 5 here is very difficult to get just right. Late apex for the left-hander. Hug on the inside on this straight bit. Then up to the turn 7 hairpin. Very hard braking, tight corner, tight exit. Easy to make little mistakes here as well. Then again, short twisty straight until the turn 10, 11, 12, 13 complex, which is again tight first right-hander, then try to get on the throttle and keep the throttle down just until the turn 13 braking point, which is always hard for me to get just right. Xavier does it real well, and I think that's one lap.
He goes really wide. Yeah, Yeah, I think that's one lap, and Xavier going really wide on the tower corner. Of course, the turn number 13 on this track, I believe. So the tower corner, and that's a very difficult corner. I want to talk about it briefly as we are watching Xavier taking the last corners and then heading on to the long back straight of this track. Tower is not a very easy corner. In fact, I find it one of the most difficult corners to nail on the entire track. Is that true?
Yeah, it's always been a difficult one for me. It's hard. It's not the straight braking zone. You're still going through turn 12 when you're approaching the braking. So it's hard to get just right, and then you need to turn and nail the apex and get on the throttle early to keep the speed through. So it's very easy to lose a lot of time if you get some of those parts wrong.
Yes, Barry West also still on his second lap, as is Gernot Fritsch. Let's jump on board with Gernot Fritsch, the man who is currently sitting in the 4th position. Joni Takanen is in the provisional pole position. I feel like I've seen this before. Of course, the winner of the last 2 Classic Lotus Grand Prix Series races at Spa-Francorchamps as well as at Motegi. Sergio Macias is in the 2nd place with 149.4, Takanen's time of 149.2. Then David Martinez in the 3rd place with 149.5. Gernot Fritsch 4th with a 149.7, then Johnny Beckman, Fabian Gerber, Victor Rodriguez, Mark Montaner, James C. McCarty and HAB are running out to the top 10, and Johanna Lampi now rising to the 5th position, as we are used to seeing some very good qualifying times from him indeed. Let's see if Gernot can improve on his second lap, running towards the line here, and it is a 149.397, and he goes into the 2nd place. So Gernot is back on form here, a front row starting position for Mr. Fritsch, unless somebody behind him manages to improve. Barry West also still out on his 2nd lap. He will finish this lap. He will finish it indeed. He is still has 1 minute left on the qualifying session. He's on the back straight. Let's see if he can improve also. 151.4 for Barry West, currently sitting in the 23rd position with the car number 23. So he is where he should be at the moment, but pre-ranked. He wants to be better than that. He wants to be at least on the top 20. Let's see if he can do it here on towards line, and it is not a good lap, so he doesn't manage to improve on his 2nd lap, and that means that he will be starting right from the back of the grid with only Nathaniel Porter and Thorsten Kaul behind him. But it is Joni Takanen in the pole position for round number 7. Gernot Fritsch, Sergio Macias, David Martinez, Johanna Lampi, Johnny Beckman, Fabian Gerber, Victor Rodriguez, Mark Montaner and James C. McCarty rounding out the top 10. And aside from the usual suspects being near the front, I want to talk about the driver in car number 10, Mark Montaner. I was broadcasting on Thursday the Grand Prix Legends race, also here at Sebring, where Mark Montaner took the fight to GPL legends, yes, Grand Prix legends, such as Mick Larridge, such as Uwe Trengeride as well, and he managed to beat them fair and square in a good clean fight. So Mark Montaner won that race against some very tough opposition indeed. Starting from the 9th position here, Mark Montaner is a fresh face in the series in a way that we haven't seen him many times, but I think he has a chance to be a real upset in this race.
Yeah, interesting to see.
Interesting to see indeed, drivers gridding up already, wishing each other good luck. That is the chivalry that we still see in this series, despite claims to the contrary from certain parties. HAB starting 11th, then Gerd Hofer, Xavier Sanchez, Robert Westner, Matthew Wood, Ian Card, Mark Pickford, Tobias Gerber, San Wilshire, Gorchinet, Nuno Moreira starting only in position number 21. That is surprisingly low for Nuno, so it will be an interesting race for Nuno Moreira. Certainly a lot of overtaking at display. Philip Lake, Barry West, Natalie Porter and Thorsten Kaul. So Nuno Moreira starting only 21st. Tobias Gerber also surprisingly low for his pace at 18th, Ian Card 16th. Those will be the drivers I'll be watching out for to make some hay while the sun shines, and it will be shining for the entire day here at Florida at Sebring, as we are used to seeing. Any last minute predictions, Tapani? Who will be the surprise of your race? Who will be the drivers to watch out for?
Well, there are quite many. In the top 10, it's going to be tough. Although you can see that the differences in lap times are a bit wider than maybe usual. This track is really suited to some drivers more than others. It's a difficult track, so maybe someone will surprise, and yeah.
Indeed, and the lights are on. Yes, then the lights are on and they're soon ready to get underway. And here we go, thousands of horsepower unleashed into the air at Florida, and we are underway at Sebring. Joni Takanen takes an excellent start from the 6th position, already past Joona Lampi. Let's see if he can make her 1-2 cleanly at this time. Joni Takanen taking the lead. Joni Beckman in the 5th position. He was mentioned as having an excellent start, already past Joona Lampi. Rodriguez and Joona Lampi side by side going into turn number 3, but it is Joni Takanen leading the way. David Martinez in the 2nd place, Gernot Fritsch 3rd, Sergio Macias 4th, Joni Beckman, Johanna Lampi, Vic Rodriguez, Fabian Gerber, Mark Montaner and James C. McCarty side by side with HJBR 40, 10th position at the moment on the track. Let's see, the first time into the hairpin, it's always treacherous. You're still with cold tires. You're still getting used to the weight of this car after the qualifying session, but everyone goes through seemingly cleanly. No big incidents as far as I can see. Everyone already getting into a bit of a snake formation, couple of cars locking up at the hairpin, but aside from that, we are very cleanly underway indeed. No big risers or fallers here at the moment. Everyone seems to be getting through with their pace early on, and that is just excellent to see at Sebring. Of course, this track is known for its numerous passing opportunities. We will see them on full display later on, but at this moment, it is reminding me very much of the race at Motegi, because David Martinez, who started from the 4th place, is hot on the heels of Joni Takanen, who was the pole sitter. So David Martinez has taken an excellent start, and I'm sure this man wants a revenge from 1 week back. We saw a showdown, a bit of a showdown between them at Motegi, but overtaking at this track proved to be very difficult indeed, but at Sebring Tapani that might not be the case.
Yeah, it should be easier here if you... there are lots of straights and you can pass pretty much at the end of everyone, so if you're as close, there are plenty of places.
Indeed so, and they are through to the first lap, so we will see the results here as they stand. Also, Joni Beckman and Sergio Macias are running side by side for the 5th position. This will be interesting. Joni Beckman, Sergio Macias side by side in the first corner. Sergio still managing to hold on to the 4th position. Oh, Joni slides. He slides and he goes wide, but he catches it with a nice 2-foot magic save, but Johanna Lampi goes past him, as does Victor Rodriguez. No, Victor Rodriguez tries, he's still on the inside. They are still side by side, and Beckman looks to be losing another position. Yes, he does so. Victor Rodriguez sliding through into the 6th place, and Joni Beckman relegated to the 7th place after running wide, getting a little bit loose over those humps in the first corner. Now let's see, Fabian Gerber is behind Beckman. Sergio Macias, Victor Rodriguez, is ahead of Beckman. Beckman already looking to the inside at Victor Rodriguez. Rodriguez goes wide, leads through. Oh, Fabian Gerber hits him. And there's a big wreck right now at the hairpin, but Beckman seems to be able to go on. Oh, he hits Fabian Gerber on the back. As a result of that, Fabian Gerber slow to get out of the corner. That collision also involved Mark Montaner, who is right now the biggest gainer from that bit of an incident. So let's see, Joni Beckman managing to go on. How about the driver of Fabian Gerber? He is still on the track, but having lost multiple positions, is right now at position number 23 on the circuit. Tapani, any expert views on that one?
Well, it was a bit clumsy, but on the second touch between Beckman and Fabian Gerber, it looked like Beckman was just a bit surprised from the slow getaway of Fabian, so I doubt there was any harm intended.
No, it didn't look malicious to me. I mean, at first glance it was like, oh, I'm just gonna punt you out of the way, but that's not the case. You don't want to do it with these cars. But the most important thing right now to follow through is Joni Beckman damaged, because that lap was incredibly bad for him. He lost it on his own in the first corner. Then he got hit from the back by Fabian Gerber into the hairpin, but he still managed to hold on, and he's still well within the top 10. He is currently at the 8th place. So at the 8th position, ahead of him is Mark Montaner, the man we talked about at the end of the qualifying session, to be tipped as one of my surprises of the race. But Beckman's car, it looks good. It doesn't seem to be too damaged. Maybe he was lucky, but how do impacts to the back of the car generally affect this one?
Well, straight to the gearbox, it may not damage anything. If your back wing is still straight, it's good. The front wing is more easily damaged, and that will impact straight line speeds and maybe give us some understeer as well. So that's looks good for Beckman right now.
Indeed, and Sam Wilshire has also spun into the hairpin. Had a bit of a moment. Nuno Moreira trying to pass him. No, I believe it was Wilshire trying to pass Was it Gorchinet? No, yes, Gorchinet. He was trying to pass him at the exit of the hairpin, and then Uno Morera hit him, perhaps surprised by a slow getaway or something. Sun Wilshire getting blocked to the inside, and Nuno hit him and spun him around, so a bit of a collision there, but no harm done. Sun Wilshire able to go around. Able to get going, and there's also a good back right now between Joni Beckman and Mark Montana, as Joni Beckman goes through Mark Montana with a nice clean move. So Joni Beckman going through Mark Montana, and now it's Gerd Hofer right behind Mark as well. Xavier Sanz is also involved in that one. Gerd Hofer on the inside. Let's see how he does here. To the sunset bend. It's not an easy corner. In fact, it's been called as the most difficult corner in America in numerous occasions, but Gerd Hofer able to go through on the inside on the bumpy section. Let's see how well he gets away. Let's see what Mark Montana does. He tries for the crossover into the main straight, and he does it reasonably well. Goes a bit on the grass, using absolutely everything the track has to offer. But Mark Montana ultimately not quite able to get good enough of an exit into the main straight to really challenge Gerd Hofer right now. But it's Joni Beckman leading the trade, and currently he has 3.5 seconds between himself and Juha Nordalampi, who is in the 6th position ahead of him. So Joni Beckman has some work to do if he wants to climb in the top 5, and this is a man who certainly does. He is hungry this week. Bit more hungry than usual, I will wager. Already having raced some races with, let's say, a mixed bag of results. But this is a good place to be for Gerd Hofer, for Mark Montana, for Javier Sanchez, as well as for Robert Wessner, Matt Pickford, Ian Carr, Tobias Gerber, and others in this train, because they have a fast driver leading this one. And if Joni Beckman, still after those collisions, has the pace he had in qualifying and in other races this week, then Tapani, I think they have a good, strong possibility of catching up to the pack currently led by Sergio Macias.
Yeah, it's perfectly possible. Could also be that Joni Beckman will just pull away slowly, but we'll have to see. It was a very nice move from Gerd into the last corner to pass Mark. Just pointed to the apex and brake and keep it inside, and he managed to get early enough on the throttle to keep Mark behind on the main straight, so very nicely done.
Very nicely done indeed, and I would agree with that. I would agree with that move as well, and we seem to have some action elsewhere on the track too. But Joni Takanen currently still in the lead. He has right now 1.1 seconds, 1.2 seconds over David Martinez, so it seems to be forming in the same way that it formed at Motegi, in a way that David Martinez is slowly losing out a little bit at the start, but if that race is ending to go by, then David will catch back up near the end, unless Takanen has made some adjustments in his race driving, and he set up Gernot Fritsch still in the 3rd place with 3.3 seconds between himself and the leading Joni Takanen, 2.2 seconds between him and Martinez. So it is currently a bit of a stretch back at the front. Takanen, Martinez, then a bit of a gap, and Gernot Fritsch. But Gernot crucially has another 3 seconds of caution between himself and Sergio Macias. Last time by, Sergio Macias 151.7 against Gernot's 151.3, so Gernot currently is in a very, very good pace. But on top of that, Joni Takanen did 150.4. And that is compared to the lap times of Victor Rodriguez, who actually just passed Sergio Macias on the outside in turn number 10 to the Cunningham corner, and I think Sergio just let him by. He was noticing also that his pace was not quite good enough. Victor was hot on his heels, and these drivers are teammates at Coppisoca Fittipaldi. So maybe some calls from the pit wall then, Tapani.
Yeah, they seem to be good friends, so if the other has better days, then it's very nice to let him go and have at it.
Let him go and have at it, or alternatively, he's thinking of a strategy where he can maybe hold on to the back of Victor Rodriguez and get faster that way. Because even though the draft isn't very big with these cars when you're far away, but when you're close, it can certainly affect your lap times. And I think with this strategy, the Coppisoca Fittipaldi team thinks that they have a better chance of succeeding, at least, if not catching up to Gernot outright, then at least getting away from Juha Nordalampi and getting away from the pack led by Joni Beckman, who is currently having company in the form of Gerd Hofer, but it seems that Mark Montana, Javier Sanchez and Robert Wessner and others are slowly losing out in that pack. So that will be interesting indeed. And in my point of view, it looks like right now that Javier Sanchez is really hungry to get Mark Montana's position. So, and Mark goes really wide in the first corner. Javier goes to the inside into turn number 3. Let's see if he can pull it off. Yes, he can. So Javier Sanchez with a nice Nice clean move there, getting himself further integrated into the top 10 battle. In fact, currently at the 9th place. So let's see what kind of pace Javier has from here on out. You can also follow his race live at channel Heikki360ES from YouTube streaming, so you can follow his on board and his efforts from this race live. He has also a very dedicated fan base and seems to be a very big fan of this car, so a shout out to him is always in order. Now, Johanna Lampi seems to be losing out just a little bit from the back, but Sergio Macias has real difficulties in his driving. This is not the clean, hot-lapping Sergio Macias that we've used to see. He's usually fast, a little bit on the aggressive side, but also very, very, very good when he has to put the lap times down. But that seems not to be the case now. Any idea why that may be, Tapani?
Well, as I said, this track certainly plays to some drivers' strengths, and some drivers really like this, and others have some trouble, at least from time to time, to get the pace down. I'm in the latter group myself. I always seem to have some trouble with some corners, and maybe not others. But yeah, we usually have seen Sergio being faster and a bit faster than Victor Rodriguez, so now it seems to be the other way around.
Yeah, and that is a bit surprising to see because, I mean, let's face it, Victor Rodriguez is no slouch when it comes to race car driving, but Sergio Macias is a little bit faster than him. I always thought it that way. Like last season I saw Sergio Macias battling for wins, usually finishing on the podium, and Victor was a bit further down. He was maybe in the 5th to 7th position range. But that seems to be not the case. Victor has not only calmed down a little bit and finishing races more often, but he has also found pace, and in that way I think he has also some newfound confidence. Meanwhile, I think we should move the cameras to the pack behind Javier Sanchez, because there's a 3-car train forming behind him. At least a 2-car train, 2 cars behind him, with Mark Montana and Robert Wessner engaged in a heated battle behind Javier. And then there's also Ian Carr and Tobias Gerber side by side, and there's a big wreck right now between another driver who went in there very late indeed. I didn't see who that quite was. I think it was actually Mark Bickford hitting them. Yeah, Mark Bickford was involved in the collision as well. Mark Bickford was trying to be a little bit advantageous. He saw that Tobias went late on the brakes trying to pass Ian Carr, but then there was contact, and Mark was just caught as a passenger there. Very unlucky for Mark Bickford, and his front wing is bent. But aside from that, he seems to be able to get going, but his pack is really good as it stands right now. There seems to be some very heated and good and fair battling. Ian Carr, Phil Blake, Matt J. Wood, A.J. Beer, Gord Jeanette, Tobias Gerber, James C. McCarty, and Mark Bickford a little bit further back, but it seems to be stretching from positions 12 to 17 right now, and a lot of constant position changes here. Let's see what Phil Blake can do here on the back straight. He has had himself a very good race so far. Starting from 22nd, Philip Blake is hungry, and he goes to the inside at the Sunset Bend at the final corner, trying to the inside at Ian Carr. Ian saw him coming, went a little bit wide perhaps, and they are almost side by side as they exit the last corner into the main straight. And right now, let's see what Ian Carr can do here to defend on Philip Blake. Can Philip get a good run going to the inside into turn number 1? Yes, he can, and he will. Oh, but Ian Carr closed the door on him at the last second. A little bit of a move on the edge, but let's face it, Philip wasn't quite alongside him, so no rights to that corner given by Ian Carr. And then there's Matt J. Wood following suit, just following along and trying to bide his time, get his opportunity when he can. A.J. Beer, Gord Jeanette involved in that one as well. So it's a good pack right now, stretching from P11 to P number 16, a good 5-car train here. So it is in the hands of Ian Carr and Philip Blake on what they can do. And also, I think while they are battling, they are slowly also having the possibility of catching up to the cars in front of them. Mark Montana and Robert Wessner, who are also engaged in a battle of their own, who are behind Javier Sanchez, having gotten away from them. But it's Johnny Beckman and Gerd Höfer who have already broken their train.
Yeah, there's a good battle between Johanna Rolampi and Sergio Macias going on. It seems Sergio has having some troubles getting those corners together, so we'll see if Juha can take the advantage.
Indeed, and that would be very good good race for Juha if he would manage to get himself into top 5. He had a quiet race at Motegi, but that's perhaps not a bad thing in the case of Juha Nordalampi because he's had some difficulties lately. But if he has a quiet race and finishes somewhere near the top 5, then that's almost improvement for him, I would say. He won one race last season, but since then has been a little bit on the side of more into the wall and less into the pole positions where we used to seeing him at. So, this back for position number 12, Ian Card and Philip Lake and Matt Wood and AJ Beer and Gorgenet also still raging on. Philip Lake looking to the inside at the hairpin, forcing Ian Card to break very late indeed, but Ian just manages to make the corner. Not quite good enough from the exit when compared to Philip Lake, but they are also catching up to Robert Wessner and Mark Montana, as I was suggesting earlier on. Last time by, Robert Wessner 152.3, Ian Card 151.8, but he's harassed still by Philip Lake, trying to go to the inside into Cunningham, then with a little bit of a crossover to the inside, but not quite able to make it work. So Philip Lake harassing Ian Card as we go. And Ian might be thinking right now, Philip, just bide your time, wait a little. We might be getting into the top 10 here. We might not have to battle for position number 12, instead we could battle for position number 10. That is the thought. And that is the difference between drivers, because Philip Lake has been very hungry in this race, and why shouldn't he be? He's on an excellent pace here at Sebring, already trying to the inside once again against Ian Card. And behind him is Matt Wood, also looking to bide his time, and AJ Bear and Matt Wood side by side through Le Mans, and they are side by side at back straight. That was very excellent, and also a surprising place to try for an overtake for AJ Bear, but he seems to be making it somewhat work. However, his straight line speed is not quite enough, and there's also on the outside Gorgenet, but Gord smartly lifting off, not wanting to make it a 3-car pack heading into the last corner. Still side by side between Matt Wood and AJ Bear, and AJ Bear looks to be stronger coming into the main straight, but once again Matt Wood with a better exit has the inside line. This is some excellent battling between these two drivers, very experienced drivers, and Matt Wood has inside in the first corner, is a little bit ahead, but right now AJ Bear has the benefit of a better exit if he can make it work, and he does, and they are still side by side heading into turn number 3. AJ Bear finally having to forfeit round the outside, and that means that Matt Wood still holding on to that position number 15, but that was some good battling. And Matt Wood now sliding wide and avoids the ball just out by the skin of his teeth, but he loses 2 positions just when he had defended his 1. So right now, and also Juha Nordalampi involved in the battle against Sergio Macias. Sergio Macias forcing me very wide indeed into turn number 10. So Juha Nordalampi and Sergio Macias still side by side heading to the top of corner. And Sergio Macias and Juha Nordalampi, this could get a little bit hairy between these two. Sergio Macias sliding a little bit, but managing to defend his position heading into the top of corner. Now where is Beckman? Beckman is right behind them. He is catching up to them. So Beckman could be joining this one, and that could get interesting. Sergio Macias versus Juha Nordalampi versus Johnny Beckman. Nordalampi trying once again to the inside, but not quite able to make it work, and 10 into the Le Mans bend, and once again onto the back straight. This is one we want to keep our eyes on, folks. Let's remember that this is lap number 10 in this race, and it is running for 25 laps, so one of the longer races in this season, but they still have time. We are not even at halfway point of this race, and we just heard from Mr. Joni Hagner that Johnny Beckman is lacking some 4 kilometers an hour of straight line speed due to aerodynamic damage I'm guessing he received in that collision with Fabian Gerber on the early goings of this race, but still he has managed to call up the battling duo and is right now looking to join in. And well, there is Tapani there is a bit of an elephant in the room that I know our viewers won't like us to address very much. We'll get to that later on. But what if we get a sequel between Sergio Macias and Johnny Beckman? How do you think it will go down?
Well, I'd rather not go into that, but they're both drivers. Well, every race is a new one, so I doubt it will be any different than any other.
And I would agree with you in that regard, as Juha Nordalampi tries to the inside once again into turn number 10. Cunningham, slides very wide indeed, locking up the brakes, and Johnny Beckman nips through, and I would say actually, that when two drivers have animosity between each other, like Alan Prost and Ayrton Senna had once upon a time, like many other drivers had once upon a time, Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton, just to take an example, or David Coulthard and Michael Schumacher, or Michael Schumacher and Damon Hill, or Michael Schumacher and many other drivers, or Jack Villeneuve, for example. I think it could be very cleansing for these two to battle it out, have a good, strong, fair battle between each other for position, and emphasis on a fair battle, because it could be something brilliant. And it could be also a little bit more entertaining than what you see at usual, because they have right now, Joni Beckman can see Macias on his sides. Macias knows that Joni is coming. Both the car seems to be a little bit damaged. I don't know why Sergio's car would be damaged, but that certainly seems to be the case right now. That would be the only thing that explains his apparent lack of pace as his stance. So, what I'm thinking here is a very fiery battle, and somewhere where they won't pull many punches, but crucially, Tapani, and this might be a bold prediction, I don't think it will end in a collision. I think it will be clean.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't think it will be different to any other racing situation. They both are good drivers, and yeah, well, if you're a good driver, you don't let those feelings in the back of your head affect your driving.
That's a very good point indeed. Oh, and Johan Lampi slides wide at the exit of the hairpin, sliding very wide indeed, and Gerd Höfer is right now behind him, challenging him for position number 7. Juha closing up the inside, but not quite closing enough. Oh, Gerd having to take evasive maneuvers as he tries to go past Johan Lampi, but he does, and Johan Lampi sliding wide on the braking. This is something we have seen so many times when Juha, unfortunately, losing the concentration in the middle of a race and having to concede a position right now. But Gerd Höfer, oh, he doesn't go through. Juha goes to the inside. Oh, at the tower corner, and there is a collision, and Juha gets passed back past him. Javier Sanchez also involved in that one, but that was, unfortunately, I have to say, not very clean from Juha.
Yeah, well, it was a continuation from the turn 10, which also seemed a bit
unnecessary,
haphazard when Gerd was a bit late on his brakes on his inside and gave that opportunity to Juha. So
yeah,
but
I would agree with you on that regard. Yeah, I would agree with you on that regarding that it was a bit haphazard from Juha, but let's just hope that he can regain his composure right now, because this is usually we see a downhill slide from him in these situations where it just goes downhill from here, but right now it seems that Juha has seemed to be getting his form back, and he is being challenged by Javier Sanchez right now, and Javier Sanchez is right behind him, currently in position number 8. Gerd Höfer being relegated to P number 9. I actually feel kind of bad for him, because he did nothing wrong with it there, just trying to challenge another driver who made a mistake and getting caught under his foot. Johan Lampi still in P number 7 though. This is a good battle, a good pack. Another good pack is of course that between Mark Montana, Robert Wessner, Ian Card, Philip Lake, AJ Berg and Gorchenet as well, from positions number 10 to all the way to 15. And that seems to be a very close battle indeed. Philip Lake still trying to challenge Ian Carr, but just not quite able to make it work from the outside or from the inside. So we'll leave those guys battling for later on. Right now, I want to see the lap times between Sergio Macias and Joni Beckman. And Sergio now has gotten something back. 150.6 last time by against Beckman's 151.3. So the gap between these drivers last time by was 1.6 seconds. Let's see if Joni can improve here. But crucially, that 150.6 from Sergio Macias was actually faster than Victor Rodriguez was last time by. Rodriguez did a 51 flat. Gernot Fritz did also a 50.6, David Martinez 50.4, and Joni Takanen with a 50.4 as well, although now improving that to 150.1. So Sergio Macias finally finding his form in this race. Could it be that he had perhaps wrong anti-roll bar settings set from the qualifying, or something else?
Well, he was just missing a lot of apexes and keeping it together. I'm not sure if there's any more than that to it.
And Robert Wessner goes around on the last corner. Yeah, Robert Vesna goes around on the last corner at the sunset bench, just losing it over the bumps and managing to get it around. No damage done here, just losing 2 positions and a lot of time. But Robert Vesna, very unfortunate there, and having to now defend himself from Mark Pickford, who is making his way slowly back into that pack led by Ian Card currently at the moment. So Mark Pickford goes by on the inside against Robert Vesna, but Vesna trying to challenge him back around the outside, not quite able to make it work. So Ferrari against McLaren here, and this time McLaren is victorious, of course. Ferrari is victorious, excuse me. Mark Pickford, of course, driving for the Italian team. Meanwhile, in front of them, it is still Philip Lake and Ian Card. Philip Lake has finally gotten himself past Ian Card. Let's see where that happens.
Yeah, passed on the outside of
cameras
turn 1.
into turn number 1. Yeah, on the outside of turn number 1. That is very gorgeous indeed. That is very gorgeous. And actually, I want to talk to you, Tapani, about that.
Into turn 10. And HMB just got passed.
Yeah, and so this is now the point for Ian Card as Philip Lake slides out a little bit wide at the tower corner, but managing to just keep it together. This is the point for Ian Card where he also has to regain his composure. He has to be absolutely pissed off right now. He lost his position to Philip Lake with a clean move from Philip Lake, but he has now having to let HABR past him also. He is being harassed by Gorchenet, who I'm sure as a racing driver is smelling blood. He is seeing a weakness in another driver, in a sense that Ian Card doesn't have the composure he usually has at this lap, so Gorchenet might strike sooner rather than later. What I also want to see is the difference between Ian Card and, AJ Beer and Philip Lake, the Australian versus the Englishman. Philip Lake versus AJ Beer, because AJ and Philip are a couple who haven't fought themselves very many times. But right now they're engaged in a heated battle, and if I know AJ Beer's car and his setup preferences, then he has the tendency to go with a little bit less wing than some of the other drivers. So bit of a Gernot switch philosophy in there. Now that can affect the battling. As the event went by me on the back straight, I thought that AJ Beer was perhaps a little bit faster, but not too much. But how does less wing, just if talking about the same setup, you take same setup and give it to 2 different drivers, but other driver has 5 clicks less of wing, so half a degree less wing. What are the differences in terms of handling and in terms of top speed?
Well, if you have less wing, the top speed is higher and you lose a little bit of downforce on the corners. In many tracks it's there may be a wide window of possible wing settings that give roughly the same lap times. So lap time wise there may not be much of a difference between half a degree of wing here or there. But where the advantage and disadvantages are of course different in different parts of the track,
So, in other words, there might not be a bit of much difference, but you will see the difference if there is such on the straight line. Now, AJ Beer catching up, perhaps due to the draft, perhaps due to less wing, to Philip Lake once again on the back straight. This is for position number 11, mind you. And I want to mention once again where the driver started from. Philip Lake started from position number 22 in this race, is currently in the 11th place, is just 2.5 seconds from Mark Montana, who is in the top 10. Last time by, Philip Lake 151.3, a clean lap. Mark Montana 52 flat.
Oh, James C. McCarthy.
Also clean lap. No, there's also a car on the wall, and that is James C. McCarthy in the turn number 1. He got a little bit too wide. He was trying to force the car to turn. He hit the bump on outside of the track at turn number 1. James hit the bump, just not quite able to save it. Goes head first into the wall at 120 kilometers per hour, and that's all she wrote for James C. McCarthy, unfortunately. And an unfortunate race and end of the race for driver who started in position number 10, had excellent qualifying for himself, was in the 15th place, and then it all ended so quickly. But that's just the bumpy nature of this circuit that I wanted to talk about for so long. But these drivers keep having so great battles that I have no time to express my opinions and questions for you on that matter. So now that it's relevant, on the twilight of James's accident, how how different does Sebring feel with the Lotus 79 than it does with other cars? And bumpy circuits in general, how difficult they are to drive with a ground effect car?
Well, I'm not sure if difficult as such, but you need a bit of a different approach to the setup because, of course, you can't run the car so close to the ground or you're just bouncing your bottom on the bumps and losing grip and traction. And you may need to run softer springs to give you that compliance over those bumps. Driving
Your
wise,
setup is way too soft, Tapani, though.
yeah, my setup, yeah. It was an experiment from 2 years ago. I tried. I know it's a bit slow versus with stiffer setups, but it handles really nicely over those bumps.
It's very interesting. How did you experimenting with setups in general, as Mark Montana makes another mistake and is slowly being caught up by Philip Lake. So let's move our cameras there to the pack from position number 10 to position number 12 for that pack. I want to talk to you more about experimenting with setups. So to the conclusion where you run a setup that is, and I think the setup is public domain, so I can talk about it. Soft springs, you have exceptionally soft springs on that setup. Now that goes to the contrary of the setup philosophy that you usually have with ground effect cars, because you run them very low to maximize the ground effect, the grip that it provides and the suction effect that it provides. So how did you come to the conclusion of running with the softer springs?
Well, basically, the car now handles a bit better than 2 years ago. So 2 years ago I was trying to basically get the car to handle as nicely as possible on the last and first corners of the track, which are quite fast and bumpy. So that was my main reason, because they were pretty difficult to drive fast back then. And just with a soft springs, good compliance over those bumps, you can keep the nose pointing straight. And but it's a compromise that will affect.
Oh, excuse me, Gorchinet going very wide on the turn number 1, trying to get by Ian Card as a matter of fact, but not quite able to make it work. Let's see what happens on the main straight as they come across. Let's return to that point about the soft setup later on. Gorchinet still hounding on to Ian Card coming into the first corner, and Ian Card just managing to hold on to that position right now. Getting good enough of an exit, so Gort may not have a chance going into turn number 3, and no, he doesn't. So it's still Ian Card at position number 13. In front of Gorchinet, who is in the 14th place, but crucially Gorchinet, the Canadian driver, our Canadian force in this race, our own resident Gilles Villeneuve, is improving each and every week, as we are seeing a battle between AJ Beer and Philip Lake for position number 11, and AJ goes through. AJ goes through on the outside into the hairpin. Oh, and they touch at the exit of the hairpin. Philip Lake perhaps sliding a little bit too wide on the exit, and as a result of that, he is being passed by both Gorchinet and Ian Card, who are still battling, but Ian Card just managed to hold on to that position. So let's see what happens here. Ian Card just barely managing to hold on to that. Now let's see where is Philip Lake. He's behind Matthew Wood, so he's right now in the 15th place. Gorchinet still hounding on to Ian Card, right at the tower corner. Very aggressive on the braking, but just having to go a little bit wide on the exit and ruining his exit speed. Matthew Wood also involved in that one. Meanwhile, AJ Bear is running away, and he's hounding Mark Montana just second behind him, but oh, AJ loses it on the braking coming into Lemon corner. So a lot of mistakes here lately. AJ Bear having to lose a lot of time, so he's being caught back up by Ian Card rapidly as they go. So, very action-packed lap here indeed. I doubt we will be seeing many moves on the back straight unless Gorchinet wanting to prove me wrong. He's going to the inside against Ian Card and breezing by Ian coming into the sunset bend. Let's see if Ian can make it work on the crossover to the exit, getting a better exit but not quite able to get the power down early enough. So Gorchinet taking the 13th position as we go, which might be actually, yes, this 12th position as we go due to the accident or a little bit of mishap at the tower corner by Philip Lake. So very action-packed lap. A lot of positions changed. So right now in that pack we have AJ Bear 11, then we have Gorchinet 12th, Ian Card 13th, Matthew Wood, followed by Philip Lake, followed by Robert Vesna. So what you saw here on that lap, and most crucially Oh, and Ian Card goes very wide indeed on the exit of turn number 6, I believe that is turn number 5, excuse me rather. So, and he is being passed by Matthew Wood and also joined once again by Philip Lake. So Ian Card and Philip Lake, who have been battling all race long, are still joining the battle. Only a few more positions back, and Ian Card making a mistake once again at the exit of the hairpin. So Philip Lake breezing by and going through. Now, Ian Card seeming to have a lot of difficulties right now getting his power down. On the exit of the corner, he's just sliding around. What could possibly be done here?
Well, you have your throttle foot. You can modulate. Setup-wise, of course, you can...
What do you mean there's not just 2 options?
Well, I've been a passenger in a bus, which bus driver was using the throttle and brake pedals as an on-off switches. So anyway,
was it Matt Malone?
No, I don't think Matt Malone drives the buses in Helsinki.
Well, he might be moonlighting, you know.
The same bus driver was also singing.
There's a car in the wall, hard in the wall. That's Philip Lake. Oh my god. Philip Lake is in the wall at the last corner. Sorry for your earbuds there. Oh my god, that was hard for Philip Lake. Going into the inside wall and losing it on a very strange position on the entry to the last corner. Just losing the car, heading nose first into the wall, and that is race over for Philip Lake. Very unfortunate indeed.
Yeah,
wow, that was a big impact.
That was something I would have we would have seen more in 2 years ago. As I said, the car was a bit more difficult in these corners back then, but I haven't seen much of self spins in those the last and first corners this time by.
Yes, not many, and especially not on the entry to the corner. I found that on my own drivings in here on this track at Sebring, at testing sessions and races also, I found it to be losing. If I lose it somewhere on the last corner, it's on the exit. And it's over that giant, a mountain-sized bump on the inside at the last apex of the last corner, just before the pit entry. There's a huge bump there and I always lose over there, so I have to take the wide line on the exit, which I don't prefer usually on this track, but there's multiple lines that you can take through Sunset Bend, which are just part of the reason why it's such a difficult corner and regarded as such. Meanwhile, there's a battle going on. There's another battle going on, yes, between Mark Pickford and Son Wiltshire for position number 16. This has been raging on for some laps now. Mark Pickford, starting from P number 17, is right now at 16th place. Son Wiltshire, who joined us in the commentary booth and did an excellent job at that, by the way. If you ever want your job back, Sean, you can have it. Anyway, in 17th position, starting from the 19th place, and Son Wiltshire getting a good run onto the back straight. Let's see if he can make it work here. To the inside, into the last corner. Son Wiltshire on the inside, Mark Pickford on the outside, not leaving much room for Mark, but just enough to survive, and Son breaking very late in the last corner and able to get it work. But Mark Pickford trying for the crossover, and he does it. Brilliant driving here from Mark Pickford. Just able to calculate Son intense right, but just not quite able to get the power down. That's what I was talking about. The inside line on the last corner is very, very difficult indeed. So Mark now having to concede that position. Let's see if he can get it back going into turn number 3. No, it doesn't look to be the case, as he seems to be losing just a little bit of time. So understeer, aerodynamic understeer. We call it the aero push in professional circles. That certainly seems to be the case for Mark Pickford. He also slides around a little bit. So right now it seems to be the case that Son Wiltshire has himself another position. And it's right now in fact position number 15. Since the departure of Philip Lake from this race in a very, very violent way. But Son Wiltshire and Mark Pickford being soon perhaps joined by Nathan Laporte if they continue the battle for longer for P number 15 in this race. Meanwhile, the battle for P number 10 is also heating up just a little bit. AJ Bear, having now caught up to Mark Montana, is in hot pursuit. The Australian, who started from 11th place, had some troubles early on, but has now caught back up to Mark. So this could be a good one. This could be a doozy here at lap number 21. As they go across the line, it's lap number 22, and they have still 4 laps of battling to go. But at these last laps, as AJ goes down to the inside, as the HA goes down to the inside into the last corner, let's see if Mark can do the crossover here, or will he just forfeit position. Mark Montana, as a matter of fact, having to concede a position as HA was just so much faster going into the last corner. HA Beer seems to be really right now just hauling it as he gets into the top 10 ahead of Mark Montana. And my question is, the crucial question here would be, how can Mark fight back? Because he was a little bit slower. He was losing his concentration just a little bit, I think, on the late goings of this race. And it can be difficult for someone who is new to this car, Tapani, to maintain your pace to the end of the race. And there are multiple factors to that. Why experienced drivers in the Lotus 79 are faster towards the end of the race, but the most important one, I think, is the rear and roll bar adjustments. How does that affect the handling?
Well, basically, usually the car gets a bit more oversteer over the race stint, and one way is to adjust it with and roll bars, either front or rear. Often rear. It's usually the first one to adjust for people, and it makes the car a bit more settled as you soften it a bit, click or two during the race. So some setups may not need the adjustment at all. It's a bit different from setup to setup, whether or how the handling changes over the race stint. I usually like my race setups a bit understeery at the start, so I may not adjust the under bars at all during the race. The car just get lighter and more neutral towards the end, and usually faster as well.
Now, I want to talk about that as a preferential thing, as it seems to be in your cases. Johanna Lampe is also catching up to Joni Beckman for position number 6, so Joni not quite able to catch up to Sergio Macias in this race, as it seems to be right now. But I want to ask you about that, because I found it always strange that you have the option of adjusting the rear and roll bar. And to my liking, I would like the car to handle a little bit oversteery and a little bit neutral, but tending more leaning towards the oversteery side of things throughout the entire race. And if you said that you prefer the car to be understeery at the start, why would you not adjust the end-roll bars to fix that?
Well, it's just me, I guess, and how I like my cars.
But Gurno has also mentioned that he doesn't adjust the end-roll bars. So that's two very fast drivers with the Lotus 79, two past champions and two drivers who have had a lot of good battles with each other. So I found that to be a little bit surprising, because I found that the new breed of fast drivers such as Joni Takanen, Joni Beckman, Sergio Macias and so on, they all seem to be adjusting their rear and roll bars. Not sure about Sergio, but I know both the Jonis at least do. So it seems to be a bit different of a case for me. Could it be that it's a reminder of the olden days when the car used to be a little bit more lively, let's put it that way, as you mentioned during the course of this broadcast? Or could it be just not able to adjust a new car? Oh, Juha goes to the inside into turn number 1 against Joni Beckman, but not just launching it in, instead just managing to back off at the last second, but he is very close indeed. But yes, back to my question.
What was the question?
It seems to be, could it be a reminder from the olden days of the Lotus 79, when the car was more lively, that you didn't need to adjust the end-roll bar as much as you do now?
Well, I do adjust it if I need to. It's just that my setups are usually made so that the car is best when the fastest, or how would I say it, most neutral at the end of the race stint. But well, it's hard to say. The roll bar adjustments can be quite drastic if you crank them a lot, and the car, as I said, with certain setups, the balance may be quite it can change a lot. Ooh, as Mark Montana and Mathieu Wood are having a fight of their lifetimes.
Yes, they are into the tower corner. Mathieu Wood just pinching through on the outside. That was very well done from Mathieu Wood indeed, because he went into a very brave gap indeed. He was braking very late. Mark Montana got a little bit loose going into the tower corner, so Mathieu Wood are very well spotted here, Tapani. Mathieu Wood just launching by the outside into the tower corner and able to get the position to himself. Also, we had information from our chat to Joni Hagner, thank you very much, nickname J.Hagner, that Backman has aero damage and he has to save fuel because of that. And Johanna Lampi goes to the outside in turn number 1 as a result of that, because Backman has to save fuel. This is also the last lap of the race. Let's see how these two end up. Johanna Lampi still alongside. Oh, they touch a little bit on the exit, but just able to, both cars just able to keep it under control. Joni Beckman also has a little bit of a bent up rear wing, but Johanna Lampi having to bide his chance for another day. We haven't talked about the race leaders much. We will get to them later on in this broadcast as they come closer and closer to the finishing line. It is still Joni Takanen in a commanding lead, but it's been just such a quiet race in the front. Of course, these drivers having race of their lives. That's the reason why so much action in the meet, but we just haven't had the time to talk about the leaders that much since the early goings of this race. Let's see if Johanna Lampi can challenge Joni Beckman going into the Cunningham corner. Corner number 10, turn number 10. That is his next chance. Joni Beckman defending the inside very cleverly. Johanna Lampi having to go around the outside and slides wide on the exit. Joni Beckman just able to nip through. So Beckman able to hold on for now. Joni Takanen on the back straight, and Joni Beckman still in this battle. Let's get back to that battle later on as they head to the final corner, but Joni Takanen is in the final straight and brings home his third straight victory here at Classic Lotus Grand Prix in a convincing fashion. Wonderful race for Mr. Takanen, no mistakes, flag to flag, amazing victory. David Martinez second, Gernot Fritsch third. It will be Victor Rodriguez fourth, Sergio Macias fifth, but Joni Beckman versus Johanna Lampi. Who will it be, and will Beckman's fuel last to the end? That is the crucial question. Let's see the top speeds at the end of the straight. Joni Beckman not lifting off that much, just having to lift off a little bit on the straight. Lifting off quite a lot as a matter of fact. Having to concede almost to Lampi. Having to almost concede to Lampi. Lampi goes to the outside. Joni Beckman is on the inside. They will be side by side going towards line. Who will it be? It will be Johanna Lampi as Beckman runs out of fuel at the exit of the last corner. Drama at Sebring. Javier Sanchez will also nip through. Who will be next? Gerd Herfer. Will it be Gerd or Beckman? Beckman by the inches. Beckman by the inches, but Joni Beckman just losing 2 positions at the last lap as a result of running out of fuel, which was a result of his aerodynamic damage. AJ Bear finishing 10th, Mathieu Wood 11th, Mark Montana 12th, then Gorchenet, Ian Card, Son Wilshire rounding out to the last corner, able to hold on the attacks of Mark Bickford right to the end. Mark Bickford will be 16th, Nathan Laporte 17th, and Barry West still coming towards the line in the 18th position, but wow. This race, Joni Takanen winning, David Martinez second, Gernot Fritsch in the third place. That was your podium, but what a last lap. That was drama. That was absolute drama. Reminiscent, as a matter of fact, to Jack Brabham running out of fuel in the final race of the 1959 Formula 1 season and having to secure his championship by pushing the car over the finishing line.
Well, Mr. Backman didn't quite have to push the car. I have a quiz for you. Who do you think got the fastest lap of the race? Without looking.
Without looking, Gernot Fritsch.
How did you know?
Because I was looking at his pace about 3 or 4 laps to go. And he was very fast. He was heading towards the sub 150 section. And I know as a matter of fact that you and Gernot have a bit of a habit of trying hard on the last lap to get the fastest lap. So it was just an educated guess.
Yeah, well, Takanen was in the 49s well before Gernot, so...
Yeah, but you see, Takanen is a bit more intelligent than that in a regard that he will not go balls out on the last lap.
Well, every lap should be 100%. It keeps the concentration.
Not when you have a 7-second lead. But I do agree with you, Tapani. I do agree with you in that regard that it's hard to keep concentration in this car when you're going at 95 or 98%. Good example of, not this car, but good example will be Ayrton Senna at the 1988 Monaco Grand Prix, where he was leading by, I think, a solid minute in that race. and the team told him from the pit lane to go a little bit slower. He was still lapping the fastest laps of that race. Team told him to go slower, he tried to go a little bit slower, and he just shanked it in the wall, all by himself.
Yeah. Did he also just roach back into his home after that? Or was
What?
that someone else?
Yeah, I think that was Aaron Senna. Yeah, he walked back to his home. So he wasn't like Kimi Räikkönen in 2006 when he walked to his boat instead. We all
Alright.
remember that one.
Well, it's nice to have at your home where the Grand Prix is.
Well, it's nice to have your home. It's nice to have a yacht on the harbor waiting for you. I want to be in a stage. I want in my life at some point. I want to be at my life at some point in a stage where I can walk to a yacht that I can call my own, and that's it. I mean, I want to be at that point in life at certain point. So, Mike, can you please hire me? Okay, well, yeah, I don't think
Well,
they pay that high of a
if
salary.
they hire you, I think you won't get your own yacht, but maybe you can walk into someone else's yacht.
Yeah, well, okay, there's a joke about Mike Kari, MTV, and yachts and commentators that have been hired by that company, but I won't go there. Maybe I can get my own rowboat.
Yeah, maybe a rowing boat. I want to see that
Anyway,
rowboat in the harbor of Monaco.
Let's make that happen. Let's make that happen. Rowboat in the harbor of Monaco on race weekend. I just want to do it. Okay, anyway, I just want to point out also when we mentioned Gorchinet, the Canadian driver finishing in the 13th position and making some good moves. Did you know that he started from the 20th place?
Well, I do now.
Yeah, it's Philip Blake started, as I mentioned, in 22nd place. He was well within the edge of top 10. Involved in many good battles until he shanked it in the wall at the last corner. But anyway, Philip Blake ending up in the wall, but still actually higher than his starting position because he finished, well, not finished, but he was classified 20th in this race when he started from the 22nd position. Either way, Tapani, who would be, as we are waiting for the driver interviews, who was your driver of the day today?
Well, that's a good one. There were so many good battles going on. I'm just thinking to say something else than the obvious, but it's hard.
He has to be Takonen, right? It just
Yeah,
has to be. I mean,
from
perfection. I find that perfection is often overlooked.
Yeah, well, driving is never perfect, but it can be pretty nice one.
Indeed so, indeed so. Let's see if we can hear certain words from the man himself at this moment, if we have him here at the commentary booth. We should be welcoming right now Glacier Racing's Joni Takanen from the pole position and finishing first as well with a 7-second gap over Dave Martinez. Joni Takanen, first of all, congratulations for your victory. And, well, that was just driving perfection, wasn't it?
Yeah, I practiced pretty much all week. Except that one thing when Porsche came out.
Yeah, so I heard that I've actually been driving the Porsche with you, having the pleasure to do that. So how do you now have time for two darlings of a car?
I don't know. I will try to complete this season with Lotus, and don't know about for continuing. I don't know. Porsche is still number one now. Always. I love that car.
Fair point, fair point. I will still keep the Lotus 79 as my darling, even though I do absolutely adore the Porsche. I have made that clear multiple times.
I'm fanatic Porsche fan, and you know that.
Yeah, I do, and it's everyone has a right to their own opinion. Anyway, speaking of Porsches, before we go back into this race, Racebot TV announced today, I think, that they will be running 2 support series alongside the iRacing Grand Prix World Championship Series. World Championship Grand Prix Series. One will be the former Renault Cup, and the other will be a Porsche Super Cup. Now, a Porsche Super Cup, Joni Takanen, and a support series for iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. Do those 3 have something in common in that we could see you perhaps participating in that one?
Definitely in Porsche Super Cup, I will be there.
I will be so much looking forward to that. I will also have to tell Bill Vincent to get your name right for once.
Joni Tenkanen is
anyway,
alright.
Joni Tenkanen, yeah, that's all right. That's all right. Anyway, going back into this race, you started from the pole position. Early challenge from David Martinez was perhaps a bit reminiscent of last week at Motegi, but then it was just perhaps easy cruising for you. But is it as easy as it looks from the TV?
No, it is not that easy. I have to put all focus to that. That's Sebring is a special track. You have to focus all the time, or you're just going to wall. That track is a killer with these open-wheeled cars, especially with Lotus 79.
It is very difficult and very treacherous, very bumpy too. Handling the car over the bumps, you seem to be in a very good pace here at Sebring. So, do you take any special precautions during the practice or the race situation where you might be perhaps holding back a little bit more just so you can survive here?
Yeah, I had special thoughts in my mind. The tower corner was 1. Be careful in that, and T1 is 2. Should be taken very carefully, and a bit wider line than I should in GT cars do. If you looked closely, I almost took the inside wall one of the laps in that races. My setup just oversteered like hell.
Yeah, we weren't. Unfortunately, we weren't actually following you that much during the course of the race because, well, you're too fast. You're too fast. Just slow down a little bit and have a battle for once. Like Spa. Yeah, you're a boring driver. You won't get many sponsorships in that way. But anyway, Joni, it was a pleasure to talk to you once again. If you have anything to add, greetings to your friends, family, or your sponsors, which I know you have a couple of, then feel free to have a free word either in Finnish or your native language of, either in English or your native language of Finnish. Go on. Joni Takanen, your race winner for Glacier Racing, everybody.
Kiitos Puhakka. Tosiaan Glacierille taas kiitokset. Tehtiin setti taas vaihteeksi yhdessä. Puhakalle kanssa baselineista kiitokset. Sponsoreille täytyy heittää kiitokset totta kai Cominico Oylle ja Tihahe Oylle, kotiväelle, kaikille muillekin. Kiitos.
Joo, kiitoksia myös Joni Takaselle. And next up we have in the warm embrace of Tapani Linnaluoto, who will be interviewing our third place driver Gernot Fritsch. Tapani, take it away.
Well, Gernot, you were third, and it looked a pretty boring race. Not much battling for you, but you did grab the fastest lap on the last lap. So, how did it go from your point of view?
Moi Tapani, moi Joonas. Yeah, it was actually maybe looking like a boring race for me, but actually I was giving it all. I think doing the fastest lap at the finish of the race, yeah, says it all. So I was pushing all the way, but yeah, I think I was doing well, but 2 other guys were doing even better. So congrats to Joni and David.
I'm blanking out. So if you have anything you want to point out or thank somebody or sponsors in German or English, and anything is good.
Okay, yeah, it was a good race. I have no idea which track is next, but I'm looking forward to next Sunday. So see you guys. Bye bye.
Well, that was a very short interview from Gernot. I want to ask a couple of more things from you, Gernot. So, not to just have you come here and then talk 2 words and have you leave. That would be a little bit rude. So, Gernot, I want to talk to you about something else than the Lotus 79. Actually, going briefly to Lotus 79, we were talking during the broadcast about the rear anti-roll bar adjustments, and we had a bit of a disagreement with Tapani on the regard of their importance. Do you find yourself doing anti-roll bar adjustments during the course of this race these days? Because I know you mentioned about a year ago that you don't. Has that changed?
No, that has never changed. So I usually never use ARBs during a race. So just try to drive the car and focus on my driving and not on adjusting the setup.
Well, I find that very interesting, and I don't want to criticize you, Gernot, because that will be akin to the trying to deface a holy being in this series, if you know what I mean. Anyway, I found that interesting thing in common with you and Tapani as well. You don't adjust your rear anti-roll bars much during the course of a race. Could it be a reminder of the olden days when the car was more difficult to drive?
I'm not really sure. What about Tapani? Does he adjust his car?
If I really need to, I not much usually. It's not as much of a disagreement. It's more a different approach, I think.
Yeah, maybe. Actually, I'm only doing it if I feel like the car is getting really dangerous to drive, and that's usually not the case. I think balance usually keeps up pretty well during a race, so I don't use the ARBs.
That's a fair point. I wanted to ask you about that for a long time, and now I finally remembered to, since it did come up on the broadcast. So Gernot, once again, I would like to thank you for coming to interview, and I have one more thing to ask. Now, we have seen a change in the form of Gernot this week. You were not only second in qualifying, but you also had the fastest race lap. Now, 2 questions there. First of all, could we see you returning to the victory lane and challenge drivers like Joni Takanen and David Martinez? And another question, did you do that fastest lap on the last lap on purpose?
Doing that on purpose is a little bit hard to do. So yeah, I was pushing till the end. To the first question, I don't think I won a single race this season, which is a bit unusual for me, but yeah, it's just reflecting how strong this series is at the moment. So it's not me driving worse, but other guys being just super quick. So yeah, I can't promise to win any more races, but I'll try.
Not even at Watkins Glen. I mean, next week we're at Watkins Glen. That should be a home track for you, no?
Well, I think Watkins Glen is a hard track to win because many guys are within very similar lap times. It's also a little bit tricky with drafting, so it's not easy to win there.
Fair point. And I think that's all the questions I have for tonight. But thank you for coming to the podcast, Dankeschön, Gernot. And if you have anything to add for our viewers, either in English or auf Deutsch, feel free to do so. Damen und Herren, Gernot Fritsch.
Dankeschön, Joonas. Bis nächste Woche. Wir sehen uns in Watkins Glen. Bye bye.
Bye bye. And next up we have our final driver for an interview here today, and it is Mr. Juha Norolampi. Juha, you were 6th in this race after some hard-fought battles and some incidents also, but you managed to pull through, and that is now 2 times in a row that you have managed to finish a race in a good position. Has something changed in your approach?
Well, thanks, Joonas. I don't know, perhaps I take it this time a little easier because I was very bad at a very bad condition last week, and I couldn't train almost at all, and I was a little weak even now to race, but I just try to race today, but there was a few stupid mistakes, and I'm very sorry about that. But perhaps someone could have some great laughs at least watching my stupid driving.
Well, it was not entirely stupid. Your form on the qualifying is still very good. You started from a 5th position in a very tough field, and it didn't go all downhill from there. You had a couple of incidents, but aside from that, I thought it was actually quite a solid performance from you. So Sebring as a track, does it suit you exceptionally well, or was it just that you were able to concentrate a little bit better this time by?
Well, there is much less corners here, and there is some time to take a breath at those straights. But well, it's very hard because it's very pumpy, and it's not easy for me because these all these aches and muscle pains and that it will increase after this race. But no pain, no gain, they say. I was very happy and very surprised with my pace, and I was a very good battle with Sergio, and I was very unfortunate that I couldn't overtake him. I tried, but I lack some skill yet still, and then well, we have a little collision with Gerd Höferer, and I'm very sorry about that. I was pushing to his side, and after that I just accidentally put my gears to wrong. I usually drive that corner at second gear, and I put at braking to first, and that lock my tires, and I just went sideways towards his car, and well, I didn't realize that I should give his place back, and I'm very sorry that I wasn't thinking straight.
Yeah, I was actually very surprised to see you not giving the place back at that point in time, but it was an honest mistake, and I thought it looked a bit weird, seeing you go sideways on the braking like that. But it can happen when you put the wrong gear in by mistake. And yes, your battle with Sergio was very entertaining. I thought you both had similar mishaps in the turn number 10 at the Cunningham corner, when at the previous lap Sergio went a little bit wide and almost hit you. And then at the next lap you tried for an overtake and almost hit Sergio, so that was a little bit evening out there. So anyway, next week we will be at Watkins Glen, Classic Boot, and that is a track that I know drivers in this series like a lot. So what can we expect realistically from Juha next week at Watkins?
Well, that's totally dependent on what my condition is. If I can train next week, then I could be perhaps at the top shape. But I don't know. It's not in my hands. It's in God's hands. But I will try. I'm just having fun and teasing some younger guys here. So I'm very pleased.
Fair point, Juha, and thank you once again for coming to an interview. I hope you will be in a top condition next week, because and for the rest of the season as well, because you are always an interesting driver to watch and race against as well. And Juha Nordalampi, if you have anything to add, thanks to our sponsors or friends or family or greetings to anyone in particular, then feel free to do so either in English tai suomeksi. Juha Nordalampi finishing in the 6th position, everybody.
No niin, kiitos vaan kaikille katsojille, jos olette katsonut, ja kärsivällisyydestä kilpakumppaneille, ja kiitos vaimolle, että kärsii tätä harrastusta, ja kiitos Jumalalle, että antaa sen verran terveyttä, että pystyy ajamaan. So all praise to God, and thanks guys for watching these broadcasts, and very much it's up to Joonas and Tapani and Aleksi. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you very much, and perhaps we can all agree at least on one thing, and that is that these broadcasts are a pleasure to do. I hope they are as much of a pleasure to watch and as they are a pleasure to do. And like the drivers, sometimes we also make occasional mistakes. I hope you can understand that, and also understand that this may not be as easy as it looks sometimes. Anyway, I think that is this week's broadcast. I was Joonas Puhakka. Alongside with me on the broadcast booth here at Trailer TV was Tapani, Linnaluoto, and behind the cameras, doing the work of 5-man, was Mr. Las Vegas himself, Aleksi Elomaa. Thank you for watching. See you next week. Watkins Glen, same time, twitch.tv/Trailet. And don't forget to tell your friends as well. Thank you for watching and goodbye.
Bye bye and see you next week.